Make sure y'all pay close attention because we have a lot of information to cover in this video, and all of your questions about this vehicle and vehicle pack will be answered. Now, the vehicle pack itself is called the Baja Utility Vehicle, and it comes with 4 versions included: Baja, Classic, Crawl, and Race. Now, there are 2 other mods that coincide with this vehicle: the Baja Utility Vehicle Max Add-on Pack and the Baja Utility Vehicle Emblems Pack. Now, the Baja Utility Vehicle mod itself and the Baja Utility Vehicle Max Add-on Pack are both console friendly and have all the necessary console files. However, the Emblem Pack, which includes the actual branding logos, is available only on PC as per branding rules. Now, obviously, this is based on the new Ford Bronco, and the differences between, say, for example, the Classic and the Baja are essentially the Baja being based on the Bronco Raptor and the Classic being based a little bit more on a, let's say, for example, a mid-range, middle-of-the-model lineup standard Bronco. Now, the Crawler is obviously designed for the gnarliest rock crawling trails you can think of, and the race version is pretty self-explanatory. That's the one that you take if you want to go fast. I should also mention that these vehicles feature a solid front axle swap. They are not independent front suspension like the real-world Bronco and Bronco Raptor are. However, I'm a real big fan of the way these vehicles perform with the solid front axle swap, and to me, the solid front axle swap doesn't take anything away from the vehicle at all. As far as when these vehicles are going to be available on console, we do not know yet. However, please do keep refreshing your console mod browser and checking the latest updates. Make sure you sort by latest updates or latest added, and if you want to check name-wise specifically, make sure you punch in Baja and then search that in the search box to see if this is available on your console yet. I imagine that it will become available on previous gen first and then next gen after, and I'm not so sure about a timeline for Switch. Those timelines are a little bit more spotty. However, once again, make sure you keep an eye on your console mod browser to specifically know when this vehicle releases, as the developers do not give exact dates. And as you can see, if you are an interior view player, you will absolutely love this vehicle because the interior view is extremely detailed. And I mean genuinely extremely detailed. You saw there a little bit earlier the portable radar unit popping up out of the dash. The actual interior itself is extremely highly detailed. You can see the detail on the stitching of the seats. You can see the paddle shifters behind the wheel. You can see on the dash, it's a little bit tricky to see right now just because of the angle of the sun, but the dash is fully functional. It's digital, but it is fully functional. The speedometer works, the tack works, everything on the dash works as it should. And in terms of customization potential, holy crap, I could literally make a half-hour-long video customizing one of these, and I'm not even joking. I spent so much time in the garage going through the options and actually figuring out what I wanted before I actually drove it out of the garage, that I was like, I'm gonna have to legitimately dive into this on a separate occasion, because it would literally be a 20 to 30 minute long customization video due to all of the options that this thing has. There are so many customization options on this vehicle, and you can see some of them here. For example, the spare tire, the high lift jack above the spare tire, the RTR spare fuel canister carrier right next to the spare tire. We have the surfboards up on the roof, and by the way, you can change all of the different roof options for this Bronco. You can have it as a soft top, you can have it as a hard top, you can take off individual sections of the hardtop as you please. You have tons of different bumper options, lighting options, light bar options, all sorts of different upgrades. And if you want something a little bit closer to a standard Bronco rather than a Bronco Raptor, you don't need to run the Bronco Raptor flares if you don't want to. And there's, of course, a massive range of engine power and transmission options as well. So I'm running the standard Bronco Raptor powertrain, essentially, which is the 6-speed along with the 700 horsepower engine. Now, this is going to be sort of your middle-of-the-road setup, although I really wanted to see right there if it would do a donut, like a four-wheel drive donut, and I'm very happy to report that it definitely does. And it does a really good job of it too. Now, as we head out here onto the TNB Trails Baja track, we're not going to run the whole thing in a sort of, dedicated race type of way. It's more like I just wanted to take it for a short little track session to see how it did, and I'm sure that if I went for a more race prepped setup, it would do a little bit better, but even in the state that it's in now, it does very, very well. I wanted to make sure that the Bronco Raptor that I built was very sort of middle of the road on all of the options, because I figured that would be the best way to explore all of the different ways this thing could be enjoyed, because essentially, we're checking this thing out for the first time. I want to try it in a variety of environments. I didn't want to just take out the crawler, or just take out the race version, or just take out the base model, or even, just take out the Raptor, but in a, like a very particularly built form. I wanted to take out the Raptor because I felt that it was the most versatile, and then also build it in a way that it could be used in a very wide variety of scenarios, and that's why we find ourselves with the version that we built right here. Now, in terms of how this thing handles, it handles amazing. It is top-notch John Hot Rod quality. Now, the model itself, the way you look at the vehicle, like the visuals that you see, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And it's worth mentioning that this one has a more weathered paint job on it. It looks like it's been out in the wilderness for a while. The paint looks like it's been scraped up against some shrubs and trees, going through the woods and things like that. You can choose whether you want the paint to look weathered or not. And I know that a lot of players in SnowRunner are very, very keen on that weathered paint look. Some people won't even use a mod that doesn't come with weathered paint. So if you are a fan of weathered paint, this is definitely a vehicle that I would recommend checking out. Now, you can also go for a polished, glossy paint job, which literally makes this thing look like it just rolled off a dealer showroom floor. And you can also even go for a more matte paint job, like a matte/satin paint job, if that's a little bit more your speed, if that's a little bit more your interest. Paint jobs like that are available as well. There's over, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, over 150 different paint colors. Let that sink in for a second. Over 150 different paint colors available for this vehicle. That is absolutely insane. That is massive. There are so many different ways you can build this thing, so many different ways you can customize it. You can literally get into a lobby with a bunch of your friends, and there is a very high chance that none of you will have built the exact same Bronco. And that, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things you could ever have as an element of any mod, is if you can get a bunch of friends in an online lobby together and just be like, hey, everybody build a custom version of this rig, and everyone leaves the garage with a build that is totally different. Like, that goes to show how much time and effort went into not only the vehicle itself, but the variety of options and the element of, like, literally the element of choice, because there's nothing more incredible than literally giving players the ultimate freedom to choose exactly how they want to enjoy a vehicle. Because if you think about it, the way one person might enjoy a vehicle could be completely different than the way another person might enjoy a vehicle. So let's say you have person A that likes to go rock crawling and likes weathered paint jobs. I know that's a very specific combination, but let's just say, for the sake of the example, person A wants a rock crawler with a weathered paint job. Okay, you can do that. Person B is really into Baja racing and prefers polished paintwork. Okay, well, you've got that option as well. And person C prefers either option for paint, but let's say today person C wanted to go for a matte paint job, and they wanted to go a little bit more chill, so they went for the classic edition of the Bronco. Now you've got person A, person B, and person C all with completely different approaches to building essentially the same vehicle. That, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful outcomes you could ever have when building and releasing a modded vehicle, not just for SnowRunner, but for any game. I mean, this vehicle could be in BeamNG, it could be in SnowRunner, it could be in GTA, and if it had all of these options, it would still be insane. Even if it didn't have half the options that it has, it would still be an insane rig, but the fact that it's got all these options puts it into a category all its own, and the fact that this is available for and has all the supporting files for consoles, that just blows my mind. A vehicle with this much detail and this many options is a console-friendly vehicle. That genuinely blows my mind. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this also, I mean, this is not even DLC quality. This surpasses DLC quality. This is in a league all its own. This is on another plane of existence, pretty much. And I know that I'm just, you know, it probably sounds like I'm just gushing about this vehicle, and I kind of am, but I'm also completely shameless about it because I love this thing, and I frankly am always mind blown whenever John Hot Rod releases a vehicle like this, because every single time John Hot Rod releases a vehicle, they push the envelope a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further. That's actually partially why, when they released the Mega Cab, that's partially why it took so long for that to get approved on consoles, because there were new experimental ways they coded the vehicle that nobody had ever done before, and that was why it took a little bit longer for it to get approved on consoles. But John Hot Rod, every single time they release a mod, they're like, yeah, I think we're gonna push the envelope a little more this time, and a little bit more this time, and a little bit more this time, and a little bit more this time. And I love that. I absolutely love that they are continuing to push the envelope for this game. And it really does go to show that this game has, no matter how many people out there, and I see these comments from time to time, thinking, SnowRunner's dead, it's a dead game, no one likes it, no one plays it anymore. And I'm just like, and then you see a vehicle like this, and I'm like, right, SnowRunner's a dead game, huh? Interesting observation. Too bad it's quite incorrect. Anyway, let's move on a little bit from that, because for whatever reason, I decided that was where I was going to go with this conversation today. Long story short, I absolutely adore this vehicle. It is, in my opinion, one of the highest quality mods, oh my god, that I have seen in so long. Now, this section of trail, just to kind of go back into the gameplay for a moment, this section of trail, kind of wish I had brought the crawler version. Not gonna lie, the crawler version would have been a lot better here. The Raptor, or the standard kind of Raptor variant in this, you know, in this particular setup anyway, was a touch out of its element here, but I also understand that I'm throwing a lot at this thing. I'm throwing some crazy gnarly rocks. It still made it through. It just had a little bit more trouble than I feel like the crawler version would have, so do keep that in mind. If you plan on doing some really gnarly rock crawling, I would probably recommend actually getting the crawler version, although this version will still do great. It's not like it's doing bad whatsoever. It's just going to be a little bit trickier, and you're going to have to be a little bit more careful about your line choices, which, if you're looking for a more realistic experience, could actually be a little bit more, you know, of your style. It could be a little bit more of your interest. And that's the other thing. You can design and tune the setup on this thing to be essentially however you want. You can make it insane and over the top. You can make it super like vanilla game. You can make it kind of right in the middle, which I find to be the sweet spot for realism if you're looking for that. And it's all entirely up to you. And once again, it brings it back to why I think having that insanely high degree of personal choice to build the vehicle for whatever approach you want is one of the best things about this mod in its entirety. And of course, before we finish this video, since we're not on the summer testing grounds, but I still wanted to do some sort of a bridge jump to end it off, I figured we would jump it off of the top of this mountain. So full send! And as you can imagine, this was a gnarly fall, and it survived. Survived actually a lot better than I thought it was going to. It tumbled about halfway down the mountain and then stopped right here and was like, okay, I'm ready for more. But if y'all enjoyed this video and enjoyed this full in-depth look at this brand new vehicle, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to see gameplay with all of the other variants, make sure that you are subscribed because we have a ton of content with those coming very, very soon. But once again, I'll see y'all in the next one. Talk to y'all later.